You have a right to life. That's what we're told. It's in the Declaration of Independence. It's implied in the Constitution. It's a foundational principle. But here's the thing nobody says out loud. You don't have the right to exist. Not without paying for it. Continuously. Forever. And if you can't pay, your existence becomes illegal.
Before we jump in, quick shout out to today's sponsor, Dubby.
Because caffeine shouldn't feel like a personal attack.
Dubby is an energy drink mix with no sugar, no artificial junk, and no crash halfway through your existential crisis.
It's clean energy, focused energy, not why is my heart racing energy.
If you want to check it out, use our code StarlitHeart at checkout.
That's StarlitHeart. One word.
It helps support the show.
Now, let's get back to the illusion.
Welcome back. I'm Amethyst.
I'm Mavic.
And today we're talking about something that should be obvious but somehow isn't.
The right to live has been replaced with the obligation to pay.
We're going to walk through exactly how that works. No theory, no abstraction, just the mechanisms.
And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
So let's start with the most visible version of this, homelessness.
The homelessness trap.
Here's the loop. Housing costs rise. We all know this. Rent goes up. Home prices go up. Wages don't. At least not at the same rate.
Not even close.
Right. So people get priced out. Not because they're reckless, not because they're lazy, but because the math stops working.
Median rent in most U.S. cities has gone up 30 to 50% in the last decade. Wages? Maybe 10 to 15% if you're lucky.
So people lose housing. And when they do, they're told, go to a shelter.
Except shelters are overcrowded, underfunded, and in many cities, there aren't nearly enough beds.
So what happens? People end up outside. And that's where it gets twisted. Because now, in more and more places, being outside is illegal.
Sleeping in public, illegal. Camping without a permit, illegal. Loitering too long, illegal. Sitting on a sidewalk, illegal.
Even if there's nowhere else to go.
Especially if there's nowhere else to go.
The Supreme Court just made this worse. In 2024, Grants Pass versus Johnson. The court ruled that cities can enforce anti-camping laws even when there aren't enough shelter beds available.
So let me say that again. You can be arrested for sleeping outside, even if the city has no legal place for you to sleep.
That's the closed loop. You can't afford housing. You can't legally exist without housing. The shelters are full, so your existence becomes a crime.
Not your behavior, your existence.
And this isn't some edge case. Hundreds of cities have these laws. They're called quality of life ordinances.
Which is almost funny. Because the whole problem is that people don't have quality of life. And the solution is, arrest them?
Right. The system doesn't provide housing, and it doesn't allow you to exist without it.
So what's being protected here? Because it's not life.
It's property. It's aesthetics. It's the comfort of people who can pay.
And that brings us to the next piece. People think, okay, homelessness is bad. But if I buy a house, if I own property, I'll be safe.
That's the promise, right? Own your own home and you're secure.
Except you don't own it. Not really.
Wait, what?
You pay off your mortgage. 30 years, every month. Finally, it's done. The house is yours. Except you still have to pay property taxes. Every year. Forever.
Okay, but that's for schools, roads, services.
I'm not arguing whether it's justified. I'm saying you never stop paying. And if you stop paying, the government takes the house.
Even if it's fully paid off?
Even if it's fully paid off. Even if you've lived there for decades. You miss property taxes long enough, the county puts a lien on it. Then they seize it. Then they auction it.
So you're not an owner, you're a long-term renter from the state?
Exactly. Ownership is conditional. It's permission that can be revoked.
That's wild.
And it's not just taxes. You've also got homeowners association fees, if you're in an HOA, insurance, which you're often required to carry, maintenance and code compliance, fail an inspection, get fined or forced to repair, miss enough payments on any of these, and you lose the house.
So even the thing we're told is the ultimate security, owning property, isn't actually secure.
Not unless you can pay forever.
This is starting to sound like a subscription model.
Because it is.
Let's zoom out for a second. You buy land, you pay for it. You build or buy a house, you pay for it. You pay taxes every year on the thing you already bought. You pay insurance on the thing you already bought. You pay fees and compliance costs on the thing you already bought.
And if you stop paying any of those things long enough, the house gets taken and sold to someone else.
Who then starts the same cycle.
So you've paid for the same piece of land multiple times, and you still lost it.
That's not ownership.
No, it's not.
And the thing is, people know this feels wrong, but we're told it's just how things work.
Right. It's framed as, that's just responsibility. That's the cost of living in society. If you can't afford it, you shouldn't have bought it.
But that last one doesn't make sense, because these costs go up after you buy.
Property taxes increase. Insurance rates go up. HOA fees rise. You bought based on what you could afford then, but the price keeps changing.
And if you're on a fixed income, retired, disabled, whatever, you're just screwed?
Basically, yeah.
So the system doesn't just punish people who never get housing. It punishes people who had housing and can't keep up with the forever payments.
Correct. Here's the math that breaks everything. Housing costs are rising. Food costs are rising. Utilities are rising. Healthcare is rising. Childcare is rising. Transportation is rising. Wages are not. Not proportionally.
So it's not that people are suddenly worse with money.
No, the system is structurally failing. Let me give you an example. In 1970, the median home price was about 2.5 times the median household income.
Okay.
Today, it's closer to 5 or 6 times. In some cities, it's 8 or 10 times.
So housing got twice as expensive relative to income.
At least. And rent followed the same pattern.
What about wages?
Adjusted for inflation, wages for most workers have been basically flat since the 70s. Productivity went up. Corporate profits went up. Wages? Stagnant.
So people are working harder, producing more, and getting paid the same.
While everything else costs more.
That's not sustainable.
No, it's not. And we're seeing the results. More people living paycheck to paycheck. More people one emergency away from losing housing. More people working multiple jobs just to cover basics.
And when they can't keep up, they're told it's a personal failure.
Exactly. You should have saved more. You should have worked harder. You should have made better choices.
Even though the math doesn't work.
So, we've talked about how the system works here. How everything requires continuous payment. How you never actually own anything. You just rent permission from the state.
Right. And it feels inevitable. Like this is just how things have to be.
Except, it's not.
What do you mean?
Other countries don't do it this way, and they function just fine. Better in a lot of cases.
Okay, examples?
Let's start with something simple. Car registration.
Okay.
In the US, you pay registration fees every single year. Doesn't matter if you're driving the same car you've had for a decade. Every year, you pay to keep it legal.
Right, that's normal here.
In Germany, you pay once. When you buy the car, you register it. One-time fee. Done.
Wait, really?
Really. There's an annual vehicle tax based on emissions, so there's still a cost. But it's separate, and it's based on environmental impact, not just pay us to keep your car registered.
So it's not just a recurring fee for the sake of a recurring fee.
Exactly. Same in the Netherlands and several other EU countries. One-time registration. After that, you might pay a road tax based on usage or emissions, but you're not paying just to keep the registration active.
Huh. So the pay every year forever model isn't universal.
No, it's a choice.
What else?
Ambulances.
Oh, this one's bad.
In the US, if you call an ambulance, you're looking at a bill anywhere from $500 to $2,500. Sometimes more.
Which is why people take Ubers to the hospital.
Right. People are literally doing cost-benefit analysis while having a medical emergency.
Am I dying enough to justify this bill?
Exactly. Now compare that to the UK. Ambulances are free, part of the NHS. Canada, free in most provinces. Australia, free or under $50 depending on the state. Most of Europe, free or maybe a €10 to €50 fee at most.
So emergency medical transport, which could save your life, doesn't come with a bill.
Correct.
Because it's seen as, what, a public service?
A public good. Something society should provide because people shouldn't have to choose between debt and dying.
Whereas here, it's a business.
It's a profit center. Ambulance companies, especially private ones, charge whatever they can get away with.
And insurance might not even cover it.
Or they cover part of it and you're stuck with the rest. Surprise billing.
So again, this isn't inevitable. Other countries just don't do this.
Right. They decided healthcare, including emergency transport, shouldn't bankrupt people.
What about housing? We talked about how homelessness is criminalized here. Is that the same everywhere?
No. And Finland is the best example.
Okay.
Finland had a homelessness problem, and instead of criminalizing it, they implemented something called housing first.
Which is?
Exactly what it sounds like. You give people housing first. No conditions, no hoops to jump through. You get a home. Then, once they're housed, you provide support. Mental health services, job training, addiction treatment if needed.
So the logic is, you can't stabilize your life if you don't have a stable place to live.
Right. And it worked. Finland has virtually eliminated chronic homelessness.
Eliminated?
Essentially, yes. They still have some transitional homelessness, people between places. But long-term homelessness? Basically gone.
And they did this how?
Government-funded housing. They converted shelters into permanent apartments. They built new units. They made housing a right, not something you have to earn.
So instead of arresting people for sleeping outside,
They gave them somewhere to sleep,
revolutionary.
and cheaper in the long run. Because housing people costs less than cycling them through jails, hospitals, and emergency services.
So it's not even a money issue. It's more cost-effective to house people.
Yes, but it requires seeing housing as a public good, not a market commodity.
Which we don't do here.
Which we don't do here.
Okay, what about healthcare more broadly? Not just ambulances.
Most developed countries have universal health care,
Meaning,
meaning it's funded by taxes. You pay into the system through taxes, and when you need care, there's no bill at the point of service.
no insurance premiums?
Not like here. You're not paying a private company hundreds of dollars a month for coverage that might not even cover what you need.
No deductibles?
Typically, no. Or very minimal.
No surprise bills?
No. You go to the doctor, you get treated, you leave. That's it.
That sounds fake.
I know. But that's how it works in the UK, Canada, France, Germany, Japan, South Korea, Australia, most of the developed world.
So we're the outlier.
We're the outlier. The US is the only developed nation where medical bankruptcy is a thing.
And we're told this is because freedom?
Something like that. The narrative is that government-run healthcare is inefficient, or it leads to long wait times, or it's socialism.
But other countries have it and they're fine.
They're fine, and in many cases, they have better health outcomes than we do.
So again, not inevitable. Just a choice.
Just a choice.
What about education? Student loans are crushing people here.
Germany, university is free. Norway, free. Finland, free. Sweden, free.
Completely free?
Tuition is free or very low cost. You might pay some fees for student services, but there's no $50,000 a year tuition.
So people graduate without debt.
Right. They can start their careers, buy homes, start families, without 6 figures of debt hanging over them.
Whereas here, people are paying off student loans into their 40s and 50s.
Or longer. And those loans can't be discharged in bankruptcy, so they follow you forever.
Another subscription model.
Another subscription model.
So let's step back. What you're saying is, other countries have proven you don't need to structure things this way.
Correct.
You don't need to charge people forever for car registration.
Correct.
You don't need to bill people for ambulances.
Correct.
You don't need to make healthcare a for-profit industry.
Correct.
You don't need to criminalize homelessness.
Correct.
You don't need to bury people in education debt.
Correct.
So why do we do it this way?
That's the question.
And what's the answer?
Because the system benefits from it. Not the people. The system.
Meaning?
Recurring fees generate revenue. Medical debt generates profit. Student loans generate profit. Privatized services generate profit. The model we have isn't designed to help people survive. It's designed to extract maximum value from them while they're alive.
And other countries don't do that.
Not to the same degree. They've decided some things, healthcare, education, housing, are public goods, not profit centers.
And their societies function.
They function, often better than ours by most metrics. Life expectancy, happiness, economic mobility.
So when people say, this is just how it has to be,
They're wrong. or they're lying.
Because we have proof it doesn't have to be this way.
We have decades of proof. Multiple countries, different systems, same result. People can live without being bled dry.
But we choose not to.
We choose not to.
So why doesn't anyone just say this?
Because saying it out loud would require admitting what the system actually does.
Which is?
It criminalizes poverty. It treats survival as a privilege, not a right. It makes existence conditional on payment.
And nobody wants to say that.
Right. So instead, we get euphemisms. It's not, we're making it illegal to be poor in public. It's quality of life ordinances. It's not, we're taking your house because you can't afford the forever fees. It's property tax delinquency. It's not, the system is designed to extract wealth from people who have none. It's personal responsibility.
The language hides what's happening.
Always. Because if people saw it clearly, they'd ask why we accept it.
And what would the answer be?
There isn't one. At least not a good one.
But there's something else here, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
We're not just talking about bad policy or unfair systems.
No.
We're talking about a violation of fundamental rights.
That's exactly what we're talking about. Let's talk about the right to life.
Okay.
The Declaration of Independence says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness."
Right. Life is first.
Life is first. It's foundational. It's supposed to be unalienable, meaning it can't be taken away or transferred.
But we've already established that you can't actually live without paying.
Correct. So the question becomes, if you have a right to life, but no right to the things necessary to sustain life, what does that right actually mean?
It means nothing.
It means nothing. It's theoretical. It's abstract. It has no practical application,
So the right to life is protected in principle.
but criminalized in practice.
What about the Constitution itself?
The 5th and 14th Amendments both say the government can't deprive you of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
Okay.
But we've already shown you can lose property, your home, without committing a crime, just by failing to pay taxes. You can lose liberty through arrest and still be charged for it, even if you're never convicted. And you can effectively lose life, the ability to sustain your existence, because there's no legal space for you to occupy if you can't pay.
So the protections in the Constitution aren't actually protecting people.
Not in practice, no.
Why not?
Because the courts have interpreted these rights narrowly. The right to life doesn't include the right to sustain yourself. The right to property doesn't mean protection from taxation or seizure for non-payment. These are treated as negative rights. The government can't actively kill you or take your property without process, but it doesn't have to allow you the means to live independently.
Even though sustaining yourself is what the right to life should mean.
That's the logical interpretation, but it's not the legal one.
What about natural law?
Okay, now we're getting into deeper territory.
Break it down.
Natural law is the idea that certain rights and principles exist independent of government. They're inherent to being human.
So they're not granted by the state.
Right, they exist before the state. The state is supposed to recognize them, not create them.
And one of those natural rights is...
Life. The right to exist. The right to occupy space. The right to sustain yourself through your own efforts.
But our system doesn't recognize that.
Our system treats existence as conditional. You can exist if you can pay, if you can comply, if you can maintain the subscription. And critically, you don't have the right to sustain yourself without permission and payment.
What does that mean, practically?
It means you can't just live off the land, hunt, fish, forage, build shelter on unused land.
All of that requires permits, licenses, land ownership.
Exactly. Everything that humans did for thousands of years to sustain themselves now requires paying for permission.
So the right to life doesn't include the right to sustain that life.
Correct. Which violates natural law.
Because natural law says your right to life isn't dependent on your economic status or your ability to pay for permission.
Right. You should be able to exist and sustain yourself as a basic condition of being alive.
But our legal system says you can't.
In practice, yes.
What about law of the land?
That's from the Magna Carta. The phrase is lex terrae, law of the land.
What does it mean?
It means the government itself is bound by law. Nobody is above it. The king, the state, the authorities, they all have to follow the rules.
And this relates how?
Because if the law says you have a right to life, but the system makes it illegal to exist without money, and illegal to sustain yourself without permission, then the system is violating its own law.
The state is breaking the law of the land.
By its own standards, yes.
But nobody enforces it.
Because who's going to hold the state accountable? The state?
So we have a constitutional right to life, violated in practice. Natural law that says existence and self-sufficiency are rights, ignored. Law of the land that's supposed to bind the government, unenforced.
That's the situation.
And the system just continues.
The system continues. Because acknowledging the violation would require changing it.
And changing it would require admitting it was wrong in the first place.
Which powerful interests don't want to do.
So what are we left with?
We're left with a society that claims to value life, liberty, and property.
But only protects them if you can afford to keep paying.
And if you can't, you don't even have the right to sustain yourself.
You can't hunt without a license.
You can't fish without a permit.
You can't forage on public land in most places.
You can't build shelter on unused land.
You can't collect rainwater in some states.
Everything that allows you to exist independently has been locked behind payment and permission.
So your rights become theoretical,
They exist on paper,
but not in reality.
and that's the violation. Not just of law, though it is that. Not just of the Constitution, though it is that too. But of the basic principle that human life has inherent worth and the inherent right to sustain itself.
Independent of economic productivity.
Independent of economic productivity.
But the system doesn't operate that way.
No. The system operates like life is a subscription service.
And self-sufficiency is illegal without paying for permission first.
Correct.
And if you can't pay...
Your existence becomes a crime.
So here's where we are. You have a right to life, but not a right to occupy space, not a right to housing, not a right to exist without paying, not a right to sustain yourself.
And if you can't pay, your existence becomes a crime.
We're told this is freedom. We're told this is how things have to be.
But it's not. It's a choice, a system we built. And it could be built differently.
Other countries have proven that.
And our own founding documents, if taken seriously, would require it.
But those documents are treated like suggestions.
Not guarantees.
We're not saying we have the answers. We're just saying, look at what's actually happening.
Because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Life is no longer a protected condition,
It's a subscription model.
and it violates the most fundamental principle we claim to believe in.
The right to exist and sustain yourself.
Next episode, we're going to talk about what happens when you lose your freedom entirely and still get billed for it.
Because even jail has a price tag.
We'll see you then.
Until then, this has been Everything's an Illusion.